Hey everyone, welcome to the Summer Transition Series Transfer Edition. My name is Casey Terrell and I work with New Student Programs, and I'm joined by some pretty great folks. I'll let them introduce themselves in 1 second. Before we get started, just wanted to give a brief explanation about how this is going to go. So this webinar session is one-way audio, so you'll be able to hear us and the panelists' answers, but we will not be able to hear you. Instead, we ask that you submit questions that you have through the Q&A chat, and Nicole, who is another member of the New Student Programs team, Nicole and I will be moderating the session, and we will ask the questions for you. And just so that you know, this session is being recorded, so we will be posting this on the Duke New Student Programs YouTube channel afterwards. That way, if you have to leave early, or for folks who are not able to join us live, they'll still be able to access the information. So that's the gist of it. If you would like to introduce yourself, introduce the panel.
Hi there, this is Rachael Murphy Brown. I am an academic dean in Trinity. And if you're Trinity, you've probably seen my name.
Hi, I'm Carmen Rawls. I'm the academic dean from the Pratt School of Engineering, and similar to Rachel, I've been working with transfer students moving to Pratt.
Awesome. So, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A box, and we'll get started with those. So I think we have one. Nicole, do you want to ask it?
Yeah, so the first question is, I have been experiencing some issues with Duke Hub for a few days now. When can I expect the website to be back up and working in order to do registration and other items on the to-do list?
That's a really great question, and I wanted to throw my computer out the window today because there were some glitches, and I couldn't figure out how to stop that from happening, so I feel your pain. I don't work in IT, I don't really honestly have a precise answer for you, but I can tell you that you don't need to get nervous until July 8th, right? Because that's the cutoff of when you need to really have been registered by. And I'm certain that what's going on now, they did just have a major update over the weekend. I think it was shut down from Friday to Sunday just recently. So they're working out the kinks. If persistent issues remain, let me know and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah. Great. Let's see, another question. Can you just explain when the register classes as a transfer student specifically?
Well, for our students, and I think for all students, once we finalize the credit transfer process and we know what are the classes that will be transferring and if they're Duke equivalents, we'll be able to help them decide on the courses, and the real deadline, that will happen before the semester begins. But they can add courses even during dropout, which in the first days of classes. I will meet with all my transfer students during orientation week, and any issues that have been pending will be solved then. So they should be able to register before the fall.
Similarly with Trinity students, once you accept the offer made by admissions, there's a series of checklists to go through. The registrar is the office that makes you eligible to actually get online and sign up for classes. So if you're having any problems about figuring out how to add a class, or are you able even to do that, most likely the question is going to start with the registrar's office. Have you been activated? But after that, really, it's a checklist of items in terms of registering for classes. Trinity side, you should definitely talk with your assigned general college advisor and talk through course selection.
Great, thank you. So the next question is, when can I expect to hear back about which credits are being accepted as I send in my syllabi?
I'm sure that's a question for Trinity. It makes me smile. I totally appreciate your question. We are waiting right now on a few departments to return, a few of the big major ones, to return syllabi. And I don't know how to speed that process up while still being polite and maintaining my collegiality with my peers. So it will get done soon. You can still register for classes and make your best estimate, your best guess based on what you've already taken. Like Dean Rawls said, you can be adding and dropping classes up until a week into the semester. So it's not an emergency. We're working as fast as we can. There's a lot of you. We individually look at every single syllabus. So it just takes a lot of time, and we're trying to get them to you as fast as we can.
Yeah, same with me. We're working on processing all the course evaluations, and as soon as we have all the information, we'll contact the students.
Great, thanks. Let's see, the next one, in a similar fashion, is there a maximum number of credits allowed to be transferred as an incoming student?
Yes. For Pratt, the maximum number is 17, but yeah, out of the 34 minimum requirements for the degree in engineering.
Same is true for Trinity. You're only allowed to transfer in 17 credits. If you have been sent a transfer evaluation spreadsheet, it's an Excel document, and you're coming in as a junior, you may have more than 17 courses or 17 transfer credits, and so you'll see the difference between what's denoted as just a TR or a TR with an asterisk. So if you took more than 17 credits, we will still accept the codes that come with those courses, and we'll accept those courses as placement, but those hours won't be used towards graduation, which is really confusing, and I hope I haven't made it worse and muddied the waters, but short answer, 17 across the board.
Right.
Great, and a follow-up to that, will Duke only accept transfer credit that contributes to your major? And if so, what happens if I'm still between two majors and not sure?
When we accept you as a transfer student, we're obligated to accept the courses that you took at your previous institution with certain caveats, like we don't take courses, we don't take online courses, we don't accept a course that you earn less than a C- in. But there's a short list of those things that we don't do. So even if you took a chemistry class at your previous institution and our chemistry department says, it doesn't line up with any specific chemistry course, I'm still going to give you a chemistry general elective for it. You're still absolutely going to get credit for it because we have an obligation to do that. We get you as a transfer student.
Correct, and what it means is just that they're not exactly the same courses as the Duke course, and therefore that's right. The matching is not exactly the same, but in terms of credits, they'll all show in your transcript, and if you decide on a different major, then you would just have to see how the program requirements of that major match up and see what classes you will have to take.
It's really a super fluid process. I just met with a transfer student that started last fall who realized that I had evaluated a course as an anthropology course, and it was really an evolutionary anthropology course that she had taken in her previous institution, and that carries a natural science code here at Duke. And so she needed 2 natural sciences, and after discussion and evaluation, we realized, and this is a year later even, we realized, we can give her a natural science credit for that advanced class. So it really is fluid, and I know that we do our best to be as generous as we can with general college requirements, and to make sure that you have what you need.
Great. We have another question come in specifically for Pratt. When are we assigned advisors to help with choosing courses if we're considering a double major or adding a minor and would like advice?
So I will do the first advising, let's say, phase before the fall semester begins. During the fall, students will be assigned, in addition to myself, I'll be the academic dean for the remaining years at Duke. In addition to that, during the summer, they'll be assigned a faculty advisor based on their desired major. But the course selections, I will sit down with them and discuss what courses should be taken in the fall.
Is it similar for Trinity?
I'm sorry, can you remind me of the question?
Yeah. When are the students assigned advisors to help with student majors if they're considering a major or adding a minor?
Yes, we assign them to advisors as they come in, as they're accepted, as they accept the admissions offer. Again, there's a lot of students, and we're working as fast as we can to make those assignments. But we've got about 5 of the very, very best advisors, general college advisors that we rely on to work with transfer students.
Yeah, and for the question of a minor per se, that could be discussed during the fall semester at any point. It shouldn't affect their course selections for the fall. So they'll have time enough to plan and sit with their faculty advisor before the next registration window begins.
Another thing, just to give a shout out for students in terms of who else can they talk to and get advice from, the pre-health office is open throughout the summer, and they can make an appointment and talk to a pre-health counselor. So if they're considering med school, it's certainly appropriate for you to call and make an appointment and talk to a pre-health advisor about the fact that we're a cover letter school and how to get involved in research and shadowing, and they can do that right now before they're even assigned a general college advisor if that hasn't happened yet. The same is true for the pre-law office and the pre-business dean who works with students interested in going to business school.
So another question did come in about the registration process on DukeHub. I was finding myself a little confused with how to actually register on the site. For example, what does the book bag function do, and how do I search for available classes and then enroll?
That's a really great question, and I don't have my laptop in front of me in terms of, and I really don't know how to negotiate the student side of that, but the Academic Advising Center does, and the Academic Advising Center, I believe, serves Pratt and Trinity undergraduate students. And so specifically for a question like this, like how to navigate and what does a book bag mean, I really think the Academic Advising Center is the best place to go to get that answer. You could probably also put that question on the Facebook page, and some students would be able to jump in and help you navigate and negotiate how to click through and make those happen.
Yeah. Kind of on that topic, so if you haven't joined the Facebook page already, please do that. We'll be sending out like reminders, deadlines, and also it's just a great place to connect with your peers. So we have transfer-specific orientation leaders, and they are called the Transfer Advisory Counselors, or TACs. And the 2019 TACs are actually on that Facebook page. So if you're asking questions on it, you can get answers from current Duke students that were transfer students that have that experience. So yeah, feel free to utilize that space to get direct peer-to-peer questions and networking. That's a great space to do that.
And probably your wait time will be so much. and you'll have a student perspective answer as well too.
Yeah.
Highly recommend that.
If you have a question at 2 in the morning, you'll probably receive a much faster response from them. Just a reminder to keep the questions coming. This is great. Keep posting them in the Q&A chat box, and I promise we will get to them. Our next one says, hello, I'm required to take Writing 101, but when I tried to register for it on DukeHub, it wouldn't let me because I'm not a freshman. How should I troubleshoot this?
Great question. If you're Trinity, send me, Dean Murphy Brown, an email, and I will contact, I think it's Denise Comer in charge of the writing program, and make sure that you're able to register for Writing 101. That's absolutely a wall you would run into, so we can take care of that for you, not a problem.
Yeah, same for my group. Just send me an email, and I will forward your request.
Great. Any other pieces of advice you all give from your areas and your knowledge working with transfer students?
There's definitely some shout outs that I want to make, and you'll hear me say this probably more than once during orientation. I think one of the offices that transfer students maybe don't know about as much because it's located on East Campus is the Academic Advising Center. Within the Academic Advising Center, the second floor is the Academic Resource Center. And I think that's an underutilized resource for students. And I think that it's really to your advantage as a transfer student to take advantage of the learning consultants there, take advantage of the group study sessions there. The rigor at Duke is very challenging, and it's worth your time to learn more about how you study best. They offer speed reading classes, time management. It's really worth your time. I highly recommend it. And the other group of people within the Academic Advising Center that I think is very, very much worth your time and valuable, everyone at Duke is the Directors of Academic Engagement. They, you know, if you're coming in as a junior transfer student, let's say, and you really do still have this desire to study abroad or to get outside of North Carolina or whatever, they're going to be the ones that will help you do that. They know all of the study abroad, study away, Duke Engage, Duke Immerse. They know all the co-curricular activities that help make the Duke difference, right? That are part of the reason why you're here. And they know them all. That's what they specialize in. And they will sit down with you for a full hour, pick your brain about your academic interests, how you want to marry the curricular with the co-curricular, and help you map out opportunities for you. I know for Pratt students, it's really hard to find transfer credit, but the DAEs will sit down with you and go through all the places in Australia where you can go and still stay on track. So that's my biggest shout out, is taking advantage of the Academic Advising Center on East Campus, which houses the Directors of Academic Engagement and the Academic Resource Center.
Great plug, yeah.
All right, we'll come back to more advice. We did have one question pop up. And Nicole, I believe this one will be for you. Are there any pre-orientation programs open to transfer students, and specifically for minority/low-income students?
Great
That's a really good question. Yeah. So the general pre-orientation programs that are out of our office are really first-year student specific. That said, there is a low-income, what's called a first-generation orientation program that's run through Duke, and I'm not sure if that is open to transfer students. I believe it might be.
It will be. How about that?
It will be. So in fact, I see the name of the person, and I'm going to reach out to you directly and try to get a little more information, and then we'll be in contact. So if you have a specific email you'd like me to reach out to, just send that back in the chat box, and we'll touch base. But we'll find out what opportunities we can get you going with.
I think that's such an important question.
Yeah.
These are types of things that we wouldn't know to think about, and that are essential to your having a great time here. So we need to make sure that transfer students are integrated into the Duke community as best as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Definitely. And a great way, one of the biggest ways that you will, really start getting acclimated and build a community here at Duke is going to be through your orientation week. And so Casey talked a lot about the TACs, those transfer advisory counselors, and they're going to be an integral part of this orientation week. And during that time, there will be sessions both with your deans who are in the room, so in-person sessions, but also programs that are more social in scope, programs on wellness, programs with the Career Center to get you thinking and reflecting on goals that you might have outside of the classroom. Programs focus on the Academic Resource Center, so actually bringing some of those tools to you. And then some social outings, like possibly going to a Durham Bulls baseball game, movie nights, things that you could do right here on campus too with your peers. And those are really great ways that you're going to be able to meet and network with both current transfer students and then others who are just like you in terms of starting out fresh here at Duke. So definitely look out for that. And that's happening August 20th through August 25th. So you'll move in and orientation begins. So we're really excited for that.
I also want to give a plug out for leadership opportunities that are available specifically for transfer students. And a lot of that is coming from your guys' office, right, your all's office. But also, I know that there were some transfer students that started last fall that were planning to put together a transfer student union. And in order to do that at Duke, you've got to write a constitution and have a president, vice president, treasurer, all that type of thing. But that entitles you to ask for funds through Duke Student Government, and you can get a ton of money to do all kinds of programming. And, you know, the problem organizing as a group of transfer students is it's so disparate, so many different disciplines and ideas. But that's also really exciting to think about what you could do as a group of transfer students to make a positive impact on Duke's campus. So keep an eye out for opportunities like that as well.
I think one last thing too is, so with the tasks, they'll be with you throughout the orientation week, but we also are starting to plan some programming that will go into the semester. Sorry. We're planning programming that will go into the semester, so your interaction and building community with fellow transfers will not end at the end of orientation week. So, for instance, this year we hosted a transfer student dinner in the fall. That way, after a little bit of the craziness of orientation and like first big week and classes starting, a little bit after that had died down, it was a really cool chance to reconnect with everyone and see how everyone is settling in. So we're planning on doing events into the semester too. So there will definitely be opportunities to connect and to continue to build community. So, all right, we're still waiting on some questions. If you have anything, throw it in the Q&A box. There is no such thing as a stupid or silly question. Carmen, you were not able to share some advice earlier because I kind of cut you off, but what advice would you share?
Well, yeah, I wanted to echo what Rachel said. The Academic Resource Center provides additional resources that are valuable. They also offer a free tutor for one class per semester for fundamental classes that you can take advantage of in math, in computer science, and other sciences. In addition to that, things to take advantage of at Duke would be, for example, there are many student groups. I know many of my students are involved in teamwork, project-based type of student groups like the electric vehicle, motorsports, and many other type of groups that are very exciting and that they're multi-age. So it's a collaboration between any year within your Duke experience. In addition to that, I just want to, the same way I say there's a lot of opportunities to explore and consider at Duke, I also recommend always to the students to be selective, and because of time management and their challenging coursework and all that, is hard to balance. So just select the ones you want to be involved the most. And then in addition to that, advisors that you will have, in addition to the faculty advisor you're assigned, your academic dean, the directors of academic engagement that Rachel mentioned. You also have e-teamers, which are advanced upperclassmen in engineering that are want to provide advice to other classmen, and the list is available online. And feel free to ask them questions. They will give you advice from a peer perspective, which I think is very valuable. There are questions that they ask me about: is this course load adequate? Would you recommend this type of class over the other? And the e-teamer will be better suited to answer all those questions.
Great. We have a question. In our academic calendar, it's mentioned that undergraduate orientation begins on August 20th. Is there a specific time or a place? And I'll go ahead and take this one. So orientation starts with move-in, and so once housing assignment has sent out where you will be living, they'll also be sending out move-in information. And the time that you move in depends on which residence hall?
It'll all be 9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
There you
Yeah, for transfer students, just because there's, it's all over, you're all on West Campus, so you're all kind of in the same area. Yeah.
But they'll send out more specific information when they send out your housing assignment. So hold tight, but yes, August 20th, at least 9 to 2.
Definitely. And you could actually start submitting your housing application now. So you can go ahead and get started with that. And Casey's actually going to be sending out a weekly newsletter to all of you that has highlights of that information, and it'll have the link to the housing application. So be sure to be checking your Duke email address. So I know some of you may still be using other addresses. It's really important that you set up the Duke account and that you're checking that regularly. And if you have any trouble doing so and just not sure how to navigate it, the Office of Information Technology at Duke has a help center, and they have phone numbers and online chat, different ways to connect with them. Just Google OIT Duke, and it'll pop up, and they'll help you set up that email. So be checking that for all the most up-to-date info.
Great. If we were looking to get involved in research, is it okay to start contacting professors this summer?
That's a really great question.
I don't think it. I think it's fine if they want to start making a connection with the faculty. If they find an area of research that they're interested in and they want more information, they can start contacting the faculty during the summer. However, I will note that during the summer, it will be maybe harder to have a conversation with that faculty. So I would say they can schedule it for when they arrive during the fall.
Something that students can do in addition to reaching out to faculty, which I think is always a good idea as long as you are persistent and polite, is take a look at the Bass Connections page. If you just Google Duke Bass Connections, you'll see vertically integrated research teams across a wide span of disciplines. And that's a really great place to see who's doing what kind of research and how. And it's a great way to navigate yourself towards faculty that you'll want to learn from and talk to.
Great. Do you have other advice for beyond the summer once they're actually here? Can you kind of talk through what are some of the options or opportunities rather that students have to get to know their faculty better?
There's always different things going on around campus. Like it used to be called the Chautauqua Lectures, but they renamed it. There's a lot of heavy-hitting superstar academics at Duke, and they're often presenting their research and giving special lectures. Yeah. I think that it's really important to show up for office hours. I mean, if you want to build a relationship with a faculty member, here's my best advice. If you really, really want to have an important relationship with a faculty member, find something that they have written in the last 5 years and read it. And then visit them during their office hours and talk to them about their work. And they will think you are brilliant because you are, and because you actually read something that they wrote. And what a better way to show someone that you're intellectually engaged in the same types of things as they are than to read something they've written. I mean, that's like the secret sauce here in terms of building a network with faculty, my personal advice.
Yeah, I think so. In addition to that, in engineering, there will be there's the Pratt Research Fellows program that is available for juniors and seniors. I'll have information sessions during the fall for that program. But to establish a connection, I think that what Professor Deans Murphy Brown said is correct. And in addition to that, if you are taking a class with them, it's very easy to start talking to them. So if you're interested in a research area and you can take that elective, that's a good way to get a background and see firsthand if you're really interested in that topic. But there are a lot of opportunities, like you mentioned. just explore and take advantage of the opportunities that are available.
Another really great piece of advice, I think, is that you can do right now before you even get to campus is to explore the undergraduate research office. We call it URS, Undergraduate Research Support Office. You can Google that. There are a number of grants, travel grants, research monies that Trinity and I'm assuming Pratt students go through URS as well too?
Yeah.
Or a version of it at Pratt.
Yeah.
So it's a really good idea to get a sense of what you might apply for next summer or next spring, or just to get a sense of there's just so much opportunity here at Duke, and that's a great place to start in terms of how can you get support to do the research that you want to do.
Yeah, and then the last thing would be, like many other schools, the faculty lunch program. So you can actually take a faculty member out to lunch on Duke's dime, and that's a really great way to connect in a more informal setting. It's called the Flunch program here, faculty lunch.
And an update on the Flunch is that we really do want to serve transfer students as best as we possibly can. And so the last conversation I had with my boss's boss was that there would be some specific targeted money for transfer students to take faculty members to lunch, because you all need to be working on that faculty network and building that as quickly as you possibly can, and we want to help support that as much as we can. So maybe some extra funds.
That's great.
Extra funds for transfer students.
Who doesn't love a free meal and good conversation?
Yeah.
Great. We have another question. Do you have any academic support in terms of group tutoring or mentorship by upperclassmen specific available for various courses?
Yeah, I would direct those questions through the Academic Resource Center and the tutoring program there. And sometimes different departments have different offerings of study sessions, but really that is coordinated through the Academic Resource Center.
Right.
Great. Any other tips or pieces of advice? We're waiting on some more questions.
I assume that this is covered in some of the material you get somewhere, but thinking about if you have a diagnosed learning disability, get your paperwork together because you want to apply for those accommodations as soon as you can so that they're in place for midterms and they're in place for whatever you need. So that's definitely, we have a, what is it called, Student Disability Access Office.
Yeah.
That is definitely something to know about and take advantage of if you've got questions.
Great.
All right, we are probably going to actually wrap up a little bit early. If you have any lingering questions, please don't leave them unanswered. There are tons of folks on campus who are excited to have you and excited to welcome you here shortly. So please don't hesitate to reach out. If you don't know where to start, starting with new student programs is perfectly fine, and we will kind of network you out to the appropriate resources. So our email is studentorientation@duke.edu. So when in doubt, send us an email. We're happy to get you connected and get you the answers that you need. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you for asking questions. Hopefully this was helpful for you. Thank you to Rachael Murphy Brown and Carmen Rawls for joining us. Yeah, so let us know what questions you have. Congratulations and welcome to Duke.
Enjoy your summer.